Alright everybody, what's going on? It's Thundershot, and today, before the video gets started, I just want to point out, one, in the background, you're going to be watching some Raging Blast 2 gameplay. You'll see how it's set up and everything. But two, we have a debate today on our hands, and it's who's the strongest Earthling minus Oob, and it's going to be between Tien and Krillin, and today we've brought in two very, very special YouTubers. We brought in Qaamans and the Blackenfist, and they are both, like, I know a lot about Dragon Ball, but these guys could completely take me to school. They know almost everything about Dragon Ball by the back of their hand. So I'm going to link both their channels in the description down below. You'll see how it's set up here in a second, but for example, if you would like to go to Qaamans' channel, he does theory videos, like what would happen if Goku survived the Cell games. If you ever wondered that, go check his channel out. What would happen if future Trunks returned during the Buu saga? You ever wonder that? Go check his channel out. We can finally solve the age-old question: are partial Saiyans actually stronger than full? Are partial Saiyans just as strong or stronger than full Saiyans? All of that over on Qaamans' channel. On the other hand, we have Blackenfist, who's gonna be a part of the argument. So over here for a couple of his videos, we finally get to the bottom of is Goku a bad father? You can see that he does a tally. It's actually kind of funny the way he does it. There's plot holes with the recent revelation of Goku's mother. He points those out. You ever want to find out what the plot holes are? Go check him out. Does the ending to Dragon Ball Z suck? If you didn't actually like the way that Dragon Ball Z ended, he's the guy for you. Again, he's got all these videos up on his channel and plenty more. Both of them have plenty more videos, trust me. So link down below. Anyways, let's get this debate started. Alright everybody, what's going on? It's Thundershot, and I'm here today with Qaaman. Go and introduce yourself.
I am Qaamans Land, and alrighty guys, let's get ready to rumble.
And Blackenfist.
Hello guys, I'm here, and I'm gonna be arguing on the side of Krillin, as he is the strongest Earthling.
And that is our debate today. We're going to be arguing over who is the strongest Earthling between Tien and Krillin. Qaaman will be on the side of Tien, and as Blackenfist said, he will be on the side of Krillin. So whenever you guys want to begin debating, go right ahead.
Okay, well, let me just first start off by saying that, yes, there will be some people who are going to say that Oob is the strongest human, and yes, he is technically the strongest human, but we're talking about who is stronger between Tien and Krillin, respectively, before Oob was introduced in Dragon Ball Z. So let's just get that clear, because some people will say that.
Yep.
Definitely. So, let's just start off by talking about some facts. Now, I obviously made a video on whether or not who is the strongest between Tien and Krillin, and the reason why I say Tien is stronger is because Tien was always stronger than Krillin, dating back since Dragon Ball. Do you disagree?
No, that's true.
He was stronger than Krillin dating back from Dragon Ball. Now, where the scales do tip is when we see in Dragon Ball Z against the Namek arc, where we see that Krillin is given his hidden power unlocked by the Guru, am I correct? He is stronger than Tien at that point once his hidden potential is unlocked.
Sure.
Right. But what happens after that? Tien continues to train and Krillin continues to train. And then we look at the end of the series where Tien was introduced during the Majin Buu saga, and while he was introduced during the Majin Buu saga, he fights a little bit against Majin Buu, and it is clear that Tien was much stronger since Tien has always trained. Tien has trained his whole life, whereas Krillin was slacking off during those years. So eventually, because Krillin's not that strong to begin with, Tien would have closed the gap, and I definitely think that Tien was stronger. For those of you who are interested, you can check out my video for additional reasons as far as this debate goes. Blackenfist, what is your piece?
Well, I'd just like to add that a lot of my position, of course, is that Krillin is stronger, and yes, I do believe that when Krillin's had his powers unlocked by the Guru on planet Namek, that put him far beyond any other human at that time. Now, a lot of the evidence for Tien being stronger, for instance, him fighting the Ginyu Force, even him training, is actually filler, not shown in the manga. And in the manga, actually, Tien is not seen much at all. Now, it's interesting that you point out that he comes during the Buu saga, saying that that kind of shows that he's stronger. Well, one interesting thing is that we really don't know how strong Tien really was at that point in the series. Remember, he was so weak compared to Majin Buu, we really can't gauge him in terms of Krillin. I mean, both Tien and Krillin at that point would have gotten destroyed by Majin Buu pretty easily, so I don't think that would be a fair way to gauge them both. The only thing that I would say is that we really didn't see Tien throughout most of the series. Yes, maybe the few times we did see him, he was training. But I would say that because Krillin's potential was unlocked, because his was unlocked, he didn't have to train that much. There's also the evidence that Akira Toriyama himself said that Krillin is the strongest Earthling. He said it himself in an interview. So I'm gonna have to go with Toriyama on this issue. That's so.
Well,
And there's also a little circumstantial evidence. There's also a little scene with Marin, who is Krillin's daughter. This is just a little. I mean, you might take this with a grain of salt. With where Yamcha was talking to Marin and telling Krillin's daughter Marin that Krillin was the strongest guy in the world, and then he muttered to himself, among humans at least. Take that with a grain of salt if you want, but I can, maybe Yamcha's opinion doesn't matter too much, but at least from Yamcha's point of view within the universe, he would say that Krillin is the strongest human. So.
Well, I have 2 points to counteract that. The first point that I want to say is that it has been said multiple times throughout the Daishenzu and other semi-official sources that Tien isn't exactly a human. It's been reported several times, and I do remember reading that he is not a human on several sources. So would you say that Akira Toriyama took in consideration that he did not consider Tien Shinhan a human? That's one point. Before you backtrack that, also consider a very important circumstance. Would you say that during the fight against Second Form Cell, which happened in both the anime and the manga, Tien Shinhan consistently used his Tri-Beam Cannon against Second Form Cell and managed to hold him back for a few minutes, whereas Krillin didn't do any of that at all whatsoever. And Krillin did have one small moment in the filler episode where he fought against Imperfect Cell and then Tien and Piccolo came to scare Cell away, but besides that small fight he had against Cell, Tien Shinhan was proven to be stronger after holding back Second Form Cell. And another thing that I want to point out, when you look at the fact that Tien Shinhan was fighting against Cell during the Android Saga, right? Are you trying to say that Krillin in the Namek Saga is stronger than Tien Shinhan in the Android Saga? Is that what you're trying to prove, blackenfist?
Well, so you're going to bring up the fact that Tien did his Tri-Beam Cannon against Second Form Cell.
In both the anime and the manga.
Yes, that's true. But I would have to say that, he wasn't hurting Second Form Cell in that point. He was just pushing him back into the hole, and Cell wasn't able to get out of it. Cell wasn't being exactly hurt by the Tri-Beam Cannon, as he was okay once Tien run out of energy. Now, once again, this is difficult to gauge because we never see Krillin against Second Form Cell in that way. The only thing I would say is, what if Krillin did, let's say a Destructo Disc at Second Form Cell? Would that, let's say that even if the Destructo Disc worked and it managed to cut Cell's arm off or head off or whatever, it obviously still wouldn't kill him because he would regenerate. So, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What exactly does that prove? That doesn't prove that much.
Well, if you look at Dragon Ball Z, there have been several instances where certain heroes have done blast on villains, and it didn't even manage to push them back. The fact that Tien's blast pushed back Second Form Cell says a lot, and I can give you another example. When Krillin used his Destructo Disc against Perfect Cell, as it was shown in the...
But first of all, that's Perfect Cell. That's Perfect Cell.
But wouldn't
you can't make that comparison because Tien Shinhan didn't do the Tri-Beams against Perfect Cell. He did it against second semi-perfect Cell. So I would say that that's not a legitimate argument.
Well, I would also say that, wouldn't you say that they're both light years above both fighters anyways?
Who? Cell is?
Cell in his semi-perfect or perfect form is still light years ahead of Tien and Krillin, right?
Well, yes.
So, wouldn't you also factor in that when Krillin was on Namek in the manga and the anime, he did manage to cut off Frieza's tail.
Okay.
So you would say that Krillin was strong enough to do at least a form of minor damage on Frieza, obviously, because he managed to cut off his tail. But let's look at the Android Saga. Now, we would both agree that the androids were much stronger than both Krillin and Tien, right? Now, here is where I think my argument takes a little bit of precedence. Krillin was so scared to fight against the androids during the Android Saga and fighting against both 17 and 18, whereas when you look at it, Vegeta, Trunks, Krillin and Tien, I'm sorry, not Krillin, all of them fought against the androids and they all got destroyed and beaten up, and the androids didn't even waste their time killing them. Krillin was so scared to fight because after observing his friends getting beat down like that, he realized that he didn't stand a chance. And let's look at all the attacks that Vegeta did on Android 18. They did do very minor damage, but they didn't hurt her, in the same sense that Tien Shenhan's attacks did some damage but didn't necessarily hurt her. And that's where I think that it shows that Tien was considerably strong enough to at least inflict damage on second form Cell, at least to a minor extent. Wouldn't you agree? So that's my ultimate argument as to why I think Tien was stronger. I think the fact that he pushed him back definitely shows that he was at least strong enough to push him, whereas Krillin didn't even bother doing that against the others even.
Well, I would say that that's... Well, I guess the last thing I would say is that that's all just a matter of personality and the types of characters that these guys are. Now, the reason Krillin didn't jump in to fight the androids was not because Tien was getting exactly beat up. It was because Trunks and Vegeta, who are way stronger than both Krillin and Tien and Piccolo, those three guys, Trunks, Vegeta, and Piccolo, are way stronger than Tien and Krillin. So, yeah, of course Krillin observed the situation and thought that he wouldn't, stand a chance. There's also the fact that Krillin never really got a chance to fight semi-perfect Cell in a similar way that Tien did.
Are you sure about that?
Yes,
Are you
I am
really sure that Krillin never had some form of contact against second form Cell? I remember him fighting against second form Cell trying to protect Android 18, and he got blasted away like a fly. Whereas Tien actually managed to hold him down, and that happened in the manga and the anime.
Okay, no, but that wasn't really a real conflict. That was, don't you remember that it was because of a solar flare?
Right.
First of all, that's both. I don't think that's legit because, first of all, that was a solar flare. Krillin was already in a compromised position, okay? And Tien was already in an advantaged... See, the thing you gotta understand when Tien was doing the tri-beam, he was already in an advantaged position because he caught Cell off by surprise, and then he was trying to keep him there because he knew if he couldn't keep him there, it was over. Tien couldn't do much. That's why Tien was trying so hard to keep him in that position, because he knew that if he didn't keep him there, Tien would lose pretty easily. So no, I would say that, yeah, Cell blew off Krillin, but that was because he already was compromised, and I would also say that Tien would have a similar fate if that was him there. What I'm trying to say is that Krillin really never had a chance to do any, do Destructo Disc on Cell, semi-perfect Cell, to see what he could have really done. So that's really my fault.
Do you mind if I interject real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Can we both agree on one thing? That do you think if Krillin was to hit Tien with a Destructo Disc right down the middle, it would cut him in half? Pretty much kill him?
Yeah. I would say that, yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I would say yes, but then Quinn could also say, well, what if Tien does a tri-beam on Krillin?
Well, that would have been my counter-argument. I'm going to argue for both sides here. If we can both agree that if we can all agree that Krillin's Destructo Disc would cut Tien in half, but if Tien could catch Krillin in a tri-beam, in a hole perhaps, that would kill him. Can we both side with that?
Well, yeah.
Can we all come to terms that if Tien Neo tri-beam? So we can agree that their power levels are really similar, that's for sure, right? Like, they've got to be at least really close.
Right. Let me quickly mention before, I know we have to close this in a few seconds. One thing that I want to point out, and to finally give this topic at rest, is my largest point of evidence is the fact that Tien has always been stronger than Krillin, dating back since Dragon Ball. And I'm sure he trained over many, many, many years after the Cell Saga, which would ultimately give him that edge over Krillin. And I think Blackenfist's best point was the obvious, that Akira Toriyama himself said that Krillin was the strongest human. So it's up for you guys for debate. We obviously disagree, but we respectfully disagree. We're video partners. We respect each other's opinions, but I will always think Tien is stronger, and Blackenfist will always think Krillin's stronger. Anybody else have anything else to say?
No, I was here to keep the peace, but the peace was pretty well kept on its own. And like I said, I think we could almost all come to a conclusion that given the right circumstances, either person could claim victory there if the right move hits. But
so, guys,
I actually hope this is not the last of these debates, actually.
We'll start doing more of these. I hope you guys check out all of our channels. This will be uploaded to my channel. It will be uploaded to the Blackenfist, and it will be uploaded to Thundershot. So please check out this video in 3 different locations so you guys definitely don't miss this debate. And please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.